Bournemouth against Forest is this Sunday. Now, we are recording this on Thursday morning prior to Forest's clash with Porto. First of all, let's just quickly talk about the appointment itself of Sean Dyche as the new manager of Nottingham Forest. The tweet unveiling him was pretty telling from Forest. A respected and experienced Premier League manager, Dyche brings the perfect blend of character, tactical acumen and proven achievement to guide the club through its next chapter. They went on. It was longer than the 39-word statement that they used to dismiss Ange Postecoglou. Having managed more than 330 Premier League matches in his career to date, Dyche has built teams defined by defensive organisation, resilience and strength from set pieces, qualities that align closely with the current squad's attributes and the club's footballing identity. So we're going to go back to the Nuno style then, Scott, yes?
Is there a bit of AI about that statement, by the way? A bit of AI about it, maybe.
I mean, it's just, I feel for the Forest fans, although Ange never gave himself a chance. You know, I saw enough on a playing point of view. I mean, even the weekend will tell you that they were far better side, especially in the first half, than Chelsea. But it lost the fans by then. So clearly, you know, he wasn't going to last. I look at Sean Dyche now, and I'm really pleased with Sean Dyche. I mean, you know, he's been saying for a long time that, you know, he had to do what he had to do at Everton and the same at Burnley as well. And what he did at Burnley and Everton, by the way, was pretty sensational. Now, with the squad he's got, I think there's a great opportunity to show that he's more than what people just try to throw at him. Will he do that in the early days when Forest are in the bottom three right now? I'm not sure. Maybe the perfect, from a Premier League point of view, appointment. What does it mean about Europe? And has Marinakis, is he still wanting that Europa League trophy, or is he throwing it away? So I found it interesting, and I don't know, Crookie, was Roberto Mancini ever in with a shout? Was he spoken to?
I think conversations were had, but I think Sean Dyche was always the front runner. It was just a question of whether they would give him the sort of longer term commitment that he was looking for, or if they wanted to appoint him until the end of the season. I found it fascinating. We're talking about the statement. The wording in this statement, very different from when they appointed Postecoglou. They were talking about him being a proven winner and the fact they want to challenge for silverware. In this statement, they're focusing on Sean Dyche's ability to build a solid defensive unit. It's very much a firefighting job now, isn't it? And it's crazy. They've gone from Nuno with his defensive style. They wanted to change it. That's why they brought Ange in. And now actually they've realised, you know what? Our best form of attack is defending deep and hitting on the counter-attack as we did last season. I guess in some ways you praise Evangelos Marinakis for reacting so quickly and righting the wrong of appointing Postecoglou in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think this is one of those scenarios where it's all going to change very quickly, right? Because if Dyche gets them very well organised, which he will do in the first couple of weeks that he's got the players, and they start putting results on the board, the mood will change within a blink of an eye. We're only in October, and they're quite far behind in terms of challenging for European places. They're worried more about what's going on behind them than they are on what's in front of them. But you know, things can change so quickly in the Premier League. If they were to go on a run and put some serious results on the board, put 3 or 4 wins together in a row, all of a sudden, it's a completely different season and the job becomes different again. They've got good enough players to be able to do that. They've got a wide enough and a big enough squad to be able to do that. You know, I was talking to you about this the other day when James McAtee and Amari Hutchinson and Dylan Bakwa are all standing on the touchline in their civvies on Saturday because they can't even get in the match day squad because the squad is just far too big. If you can't get into the match day squad nowadays when there's 20 players that are available to the manager on a match day, I mean, like, you've obviously got too many senior pros. You've got 1 or 2 injuries as well. So, like, the idea that they've recruited all of these players shows that they want to be serious about challenging Europe. They can still do that. Obviously, the Europa League phase goes on until January. They'll put points on the board in that as well, and they've got every chance of qualifying for the knockout stages. So, look, I think that the job at the moment is quickly stabilise, get them on the front foot. But after 3 or 4 games, if they've put points on the board, the job will change again. It's Marinakis. It will change every 5 minutes, won't it? I mean, and they can achieve stuff with the players that they've got because they've got Chris Wood, they've got Igor Jesus, who looks pretty lively up front. They've got Morgan Gibbs-White. They've got players that can create and score goals like Callum Hudson-Odoi. They've got fast wingers. They've got robust defenders. I've got high hopes for them, and I think it means something, Scott. Right, when you've got people there that really know and care about the club. I know we sort of go on about that, and sometimes that's a little bit sort of cliched, and then people hark too much to the romance of it. But Sean Dyche was a trainee at Nottingham Forest. Ian Wone and Steve Stone, very well-known Nottingham Forest people. Them being in the door helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're going to do a good job just because you've been attached to a club as a player. But actually, I 100% believe it does help when you've got that in your feeling. You've come through the ranks. You know, he's played under Brian Clough, and certainly he was the manager there. You have, it's not as if you don't try in other clubs, but you have that extra feeling. It hurts you even more. You work even harder to try and get it right. And look, you're right. Things can turn around pretty quickly. But then what does that mean then? Is the pressure then on Sean Dyche to say, well, okay, well, you've got us out the relegation zone. That's not so much of a problem. And now go and win the Europa League like I wanted Postecoglou to do that in the first place. And if he doesn't, gets knocked out in the quarterfinals, what does that mean for him then? So it's just a very short-term job with an owner like that. And yeah, it's interesting. One flip-flopper recognising about another flip-flop statement there, that he has gone one way and now back to the other. It's such a short-term thing, football, isn't it? Get out of the relegation zone first.
It is, and yeah, it's a bit like being a manager of Chelsea back in the day, isn't it? You know, you're never more than 3 defeats away from the sack. Bournemouth might try and capitalise on that, or it might be the wrong time for Bournemouth to go up against Nottingham Forest. 19-year-old Eli Junior Krupi scored 2 goals last week. He's got 3 Premier League goals now, and he looks like another talent that has been unearthed by that talent factory down on the South Coast, Crook.
Yeah, and he's someone who's been there a little while, and obviously they've had to be patient with him before actually unleashing him in the Premier League. But you're right, he looks a real find, and it is an area actually at the top end of the pitch. You know, for all of Evan Nielsen's qualities, he's never going to be a striker. I don't think who scores 15, 20 goals a season in the Premier League. So the fact they've got an alternative option now is a real bonus. Unis Anal made his comeback for the development squad this week as well after a serious knee injury. So slowly but surely. Andoni Iraola is getting more options. I'd have been much more confident in Bournemouth going into this game if Ange was still the Forest manager. I think he would have absolutely played into their hands. But Sean Dyche is going to go there. He's going to try and spoil the game. He's going to have that low block. So I wouldn't be surprised now if this ends up in a draw and Bournemouth's little positive run of results comes to a halt.